this video, I'm going to show you as a cyclist how you can get your off the bike work to carry over onto the bike, because that's where it matters. My name is Robbie and I help master cyclists with back pain and sciatica so they can ride pain-free with zero concern it's going to come roaring back. But this video applies to any cyclist who's trying to optimize or work on their mechanics off the bike, because a missing piece is that actual carryover to riding. And here's the thing, it's not guaranteed. We've got to build a bridge to make sure that it happens. So what you're going to see here today is a carryover ride. Up until a few days ago, I called it an integration ride, but carryover to me is a little bit more accurate, because we're trying to carry over the joint mechanics, the body mechanics that we're working on off the bike onto the bike. So it's a carryover ride. 2 rounds of VO2 intervals. I did 5 by 2 minutes at VO2 power. Here's the important thing. I've got to stay aware and in control of my body mechanics. So this is not an absolute max effort, although I did hurt myself here, but it's not an absolute max effort. And you're going to see after the second rep, I had to back it down a little bit. Now, in terms of a starting point, I have my athletes start with like zone 2 intervals on these. Because if you're changing your mechanics away from like what your current pattern is, that doesn't happen overnight. We're uploading a new software pattern. We got to check for bugs. We got to get back to the drawing board, make sure everything's actually going right, and then we can build it from there. So if you're like, I'm going to go try this tomorrow, you could sure try it on some hard intervals, but I would start with a few minutes out of every 10 focused on what I'm going to tell you about in terms of sitting solid on your seat, opening your hips, and having a strong back. So, like I said, these are 5 VO2 intervals, and there's 2 things that I'm looking at analysis-wise, other than actually analyzing the video. I'm feeling, awareness-wise, on the bike, solid, even pressure on my sit bones, open hips, strong back. And then after the fact, I'm going to look at my power balance, because that's pretty important. And what we're going to see is I got better than 59-41 on every single interval. In fact, my first 2, they were perfect. So those are the types of things that we're looking at. The numbers do matter, but a lot of it's all about the feel. Do I feel efficient? Can I put down that power? And can I stay within myself to where I'm not on like a hero workout and I'm thrashing around on the bike? There's plenty of room to do those types of intervals for training purposes. But if you're looking to carry over your off the bike mechanics onto the bike, we're going to dial it back just slightly. Now, as you will see, I did hurt myself in this video. So you can still go hard once you've got that awareness piece dialed. But that said, you're not going for max power. You could, but you'd have to be pretty far down the road working on this and very aware of your mechanics. Setting it up here, and I killed the sound because there was a lot of wind out there today, so you'll see my lips yapping, but I decided to voice it over on the camera here. What you're going to see here is you're going to see reps 2 and 5, and we'll pull that data onto the screen. 50-50 power, over 350 on the normalized, 350 on the normalized for the second rep, which is what you're going to see here. And then I recognize I am ragged here. I've got to drop it down. Power balance started to shift around a little bit, but it was still very, very good, very, very symmetrical. And so as I get rolling here, start the timer up, we're going to see on this second rep, I wouldn't do too hard of a standing start there. In fact, if I were to say, hey, do it perfect, I'd say don't do that, but I got a little bit lazy. We're going to watch my mechanics here. And I'm not perfect, by the way. I've got some significant problems with hip internal rotation, especially on the left side. Now, interestingly enough, what that'll do when I lock that in is it tends to push me over towards the right just slightly in terms of where I'm sitting. So you'll see that right knee flare out a little bit more. You're going to see it more so on the 5th rep. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking at a strong, but not maximum, posterior tilt backwards to bring my sit bones onto the saddle. That is going to open my hips, my back rounds, so a strong rounded back here. And that's what I'm aiming to hold. And it's kind of like a constant check. Like, I'm not obsessing over it, but I'm thinking through it. I'm trying to maintain even power, and I'm trying to stay within myself for that entire rep. Now, I'm going uphill into a headwind. I'm not really focused on aerodynamics here, but you sure could. That would be another step to get in a more aerodynamic position to lock this in. Now, the big thing, like I mentioned at the outset, when you're looking at starting off, you're talking about 2-3 minutes out of every 10, just ride in zone 2, because ultimately that's going to put you in a better position to lock in your awareness of what your body's actually doing. Once you can own that, you can take it to higher power intervals. Sweet spot, threshold, VO2, even some of your max seated efforts, you can get there, but you want to make sure that you're building it right. And now keep in mind, the whole point of this is to bridge your mechanics off the bike onto the bike. If you've got jacked up mechanics on the bike, but you're not doing any work off the bike to improve them, then you have put the cart ahead of the horse. So that's the end of that rep. And I said on the video, I was like, damn, I went a little bit too deep there. Huh. Okay. So I made the conscious decision, reps 3 and onward, to drop that power down a little bit. And I started to struggle at about 45 seconds, really feeling it through 90 seconds. And I was able to finish strong. Now, this next one, I'm winding up for it, is the 5th and final round. So I brought it up a little bit from rounds 3 and 4. Still not the same power I started at. And I was dealing with quite a bit of burn in the legs. And so this is where we're really looking at the mechanics and we're asking, does it stand up to load? Round 2? Yeah, pretty well. Does it stand up to load and fatigue? Round 5, if you watch my right hip, you're going to see it throughout this 2-minute block. You're going to see it get a little bit sloppier. I'm getting a little bit more knee flare out. So you sure could video this. I think it'd be super helpful for you. That said, micro-analyzing the video here is not your primary aim. You've got to feel it. And so if you're relying on video, you're going to miss the point, which is to be able to feel a solid position on the bike. Now, like I said, you can't be thinking about too much. I'm thinking slight tilt back, rounded back, open hips. And then I'm going to say to myself over and over again, smooth, Robbie, smooth. And if I had the actual sound here above the wind, you would hear that. Smooth, Robbie, smooth, especially as I get deep into the fatigue and I'm really starting to feel it. So this is the concept of a carryover ride for a cyclist. Now remember, when we're talking position, we're talking body position on your current fit. If you're a serious cyclist, I expect that you have a bike fit that you're confident in. And if you don't, you need to go get that done. Your body position, however, is not solely determined by your fit. You've got 3-4 places you can sit on the saddle, and you got options in terms of where you can put your pelvis and the spine. And what you choose to, or what your program is, especially under load, is going to be what determines how force is distributed. So whether too much stress is landing on the knees, on the hips, on the back, that's what we can tell from your position. So you're off the bike work, fantastic. You should be doing it even if you're healthy. And certainly if you've got a back pain problem, you need some of those components in place to make sure that you're working on the right stuff. But again, gassed, if it doesn't carry over onto the bike, you're missing the big key piece that can make the difference between staying stuck in the spin cycle of a back pain problem and getting over it. Being able to put that behind you and ride pain-free with zero concern. It's going to come roaring back.